There's a moment that comes to almost everyone. You're sitting in traffic, or staring at your inbox, or lying awake at 3 in the morning doing math in your head. The math never works. You add up the hours, the effort, the years you've already given, and somewhere in that quiet calculation, a question begins to form. Is this it? You were told that hard work pays off, that if you just keep going, keep grinding, keep trading your time for a paycheck, eventually you'll get ahead. But the gap isn't closing, it's widening. The cost of everything is rising faster than your income. Your energy is falling faster than your ambition. And the dream you once had, the one where you controlled your time, where money worked for you instead of the other way around, that dream is starting to feel like a lie you told yourself. Here's the truth most people never hear. Wealth isn't built by working harder. It's not created by suffering longer or sacrificing more. The people who break free, who actually build lives of abundance and freedom, aren't following the same rules you were taught. They've discovered something else, something older than the economy, deeper than strategy, more reliable than any market or system or hustle. They've learned to work with the way the universe actually creates wealth, not against it, not in spite of it, with it. This isn't about motivation. It's not about positive thinking or vision boards or pretending your bills don't exist. This is about understanding the mechanics of supply, the laws that govern increase, the patterns that separate those who struggle from those who flow. Because here's what no one tells you when you're starting out. The universe is already expanding. It's already increasing. Abundance is the default setting of reality. But most people are standing in their own way. They're operating from fear, from competition, from the belief that wealth is scarce and you have to fight for every dollar. And that belief becomes their ceiling. In the next 60 minutes, you're going to learn a different way, a way that doesn't require you to burn yourself out, a way that doesn't pit you against everyone else in a race to the bottom. A way that aligns your mind, your actions, and your energy with the fundamental force that creates everything. You're going to learn how to think like wealth, how to move like increase, how to stop repelling the very thing you're chasing. And by the end, you'll understand why some people seem to attract opportunity effortlessly, while others grind themselves into dust and get nowhere. This isn't theory. This is the operating system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. The Thinking Substance. The True Source of Wealth.
There's a substance older than money, older than markets, older than trade or barter or any system humans ever invented to move value from one hand to another. It exists everywhere, in every moment, in every space between thoughts. It's the raw material from which everything you see was formed. Your house, your car, the device you're listening to this on, all of it came from the same source. And that source is still here, still active, still creating. Most people never tap into it because they're looking in the wrong direction. They think wealth comes from effort, from positions, from connections or credentials, or being in the right place at the right time. And yes, those things matter, but they're not the source. They're the delivery system. The source is something else entirely. There is a thinking substance that permeates all of reality. It responds to thought. It moves according to intention. And it shapes itself into form based on the images held clearly and consistently in the human mind. This isn't mystical. It's mechanical. Every invention started as a thought. Every business began as an idea. Every dollar you've ever earned was first a concept, a plan, a vision that someone held long enough for reality to catch up. The substance doesn't care who you are. It doesn't check your resume. It doesn't ask where you went to school or who your parents were. It responds to one thing only: clarity of thought. When you think in a certain way, with focus and intention and unwavering belief, the substance begins to move. It organizes, it attracts, it flows toward the mental image you're holding, bringing with it the people, circumstances, and resources needed to make that image real. But here's where most people break the connection. They think one way and act another. They hold a vision of wealth while living in fear of scarcity. They say they want abundance while their every decision screams survival mode. And the substance doesn't know what to do with that. It's receiving mixed signals, conflicting instructions, so it does nothing. Or worse, it delivers exactly what you're actually thinking about most of the time, which, for most people, is lack. You worry about bills, you stress about competition, you look at your bank account and feel the tightness in your chest, and all of that is thought, all of that is signal, all of that is instruction being sent into the thinking substance, telling it what to create more of. The universe doesn't judge your thoughts, it just obeys them. So if you want different results, you need different thoughts, not occasionally, not when it's convenient, consistently, deliberately, with the kind of focus that rewrites your defaults. This is where wealth actually begins, not in the marketplace, not in the office, in the mind. Because the thinking substance is everywhere, you don't need to go looking for opportunity. You need to become the kind of person opportunity flows toward. You need to hold the image of what you want so clearly that the substance has no choice but to arrange itself around that image. And when it does, things start to happen that look like luck. The right person calls, the idea hits at the perfect time, the deal comes together in a way you couldn't have forced. People call it coincidence, timing, being in the flow. But it's not random, it's response. The substance is always listening, always moving, always ready to create. The only question is whether you're giving it clear instructions or just broadcasting fear and doubt on repeat. Here's what changes everything. You don't have to fight for wealth. You don't have to compete for scraps. You don't have to convince anyone or manipulate circumstances or scheme your way into success. You just have to learn to think in harmony with the way the substance actually works. And once you do, once you align your mind with the creative force of the universe itself, the struggle stops, the desperation fades, and you start moving through life like someone who knows something everyone else missed. You become a channel, not a fighter. And the substance flows through you, creating wealth not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped blocking it. That's the foundation. That's the beginning of everything that follows. The substance is here, it's waiting, and it's ready to respond the moment you are. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Labor. Why Struggle Repels Supply. You've been lied to about work. Not in the way you think. The lie isn't that hard work doesn't matter. It does. But you were told that hard work alone is enough. That if you just push harder, stay longer, sacrifice more, eventually the money will come. And maybe it does. A little. Barely enough to keep you running in place. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Struggle repels wealth. Not effort, not discipline, not commitment. Struggle. The energy of desperation, the grinding, white-knuckled fight to survive, the belief that you have to suffer your way into abundance. That energy pushes supply away. Think about the people you know who work the hardest, the ones who are always busy, always stressed, always one crisis away from breaking. Are they the wealthiest, or are they just the most exhausted? Now, think about the people who seem to glide, who work strategically, who aren't constantly scrambling, but somehow always have what they need. What's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's the energy they're operating from. The thinking substance we talked about in the last chapter responds to your mental state. And when your mental state is panic, scarcity, or survival, the substance receives that as an instruction. It gives you more situations that require panic, more scarcity, more survival. Because it's not trying to teach you a lesson, it's not testing your character, it's just mirroring back the dominant frequency you're broadcasting. Most people are working from fear without even realizing it. They take the job they don't want because they're afraid they won't find something better. They stay in situations that drain them because they're scared of what happens if they leave. They say yes to things that don't serve them because no feels too risky. And every one of those decisions is a message to the universe. I don't believe there's enough. I don't trust that I'm supported. I have to cling to what I have because nothing better is coming. And the universe says, understood. Here's more of that. This is why some of the hardest working people you know are broke, and why some of the wealthiest people you've ever met don't seem to be working that hard at all. It's not about the hours, it's about the state. When you work from a place of faith, of knowing, of aligned intention, the same effort produces completely different results. You're not fighting reality, you're cooperating with it. You're not trying to force doors open, you're walking through the ones that are already unlocked. The substance doesn't reward suffering, it rewards alignment. Now, this doesn't mean you get to sit on your couch and wait for checks to fall from the sky. Action is required, but the kind of action matters more than the amount. There's a massive difference between busy and effective, between motion and progress, between grinding and building. Grinding is what you do when you don't believe the substance is working with you. Building is what happens when you know it is. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how can I work harder? Start asking, how can I work in harmony with the way wealth is actually created? Stop trying to muscle your way through obstacles. Start noticing where the path is already open. Stop glorifying exhaustion as proof of worthiness. Start understanding that ease is not laziness, it's efficiency. The people who break free aren't the ones who suffer the most. They're the ones who learn to move with the current instead of against it. And that starts with letting go of the belief that wealth has to hurt. It doesn't. It never did. That was just a story someone told you to keep you in line, to make sure you stayed small, stayed tired, stayed too drained to ask bigger questions. But you're asking them now. And the answer is this: the universe is not withholding from you. You are withholding from yourself by refusing to believe that supply can come easily, naturally, abundantly. Let go of the struggle, not the effort, the struggle. And watch what happens when you do.
Chapter 3. The Creative versus the Competitive Mind. The Fork in Human Destiny. There are two ways to move through the world. One leads to wealth. The other leads to war. Most people are trapped in the second without even knowing it. They wake up every day and step onto a battlefield. They see the world as a place where resources are limited, opportunities are scarce, and success means taking something from someone else. This is the competitive mind, and it's exhausting. The competitive mind believes that for you to win, someone else has to lose, that there's only so much money to go around, only so many good jobs, only so many chances, and if you don't fight for yours, someone else will take it. So you fight, you compare, you position, you protect what you have and scheme for what you don't. You look at other people's success and feel threatened. You see someone else getting ahead and wonder what it means for you. And in that state, you're not creating anything. You're just rearranging pieces on a board that never gets bigger. The competitive mind keeps you locked in scarcity. Even when you win, it doesn't feel like enough, because there's always someone with more, always another level, always another threat. You can spend your entire life competing and never experience true abundance, because competition, by its very nature, is rooted in the belief that there isn't enough. But there's another way. The creative mind doesn't look at the world and see a pie with limited slices. It looks at the world and sees infinite raw material. It doesn't ask, how do I take what someone else has? It asks, what can I build that didn't exist before? The creative mind operates from a completely different premise. It knows that wealth isn't a fixed amount, it's a flow. It's always expanding, always increasing, and the more you create, the more there is for everyone. When you shift from competitive to creative, everything changes. You stop seeing other people as obstacles and start seeing them as potential collaborators. You stop worrying about being copied and start focusing on being original. You stop protecting your little corner of the market and start building something so valuable that the market expands to meet you. This is how real wealth is made. Not by outcompeting, not by undercutting, not by clawing your way to the top of a ladder someone else built. By creating, by adding value where none existed, by solving problems in ways no one thought of before. And here's the part that changes the game. When you create, you're working with the thinking substance. You're aligned with the expanding nature of the universe. You're tapping into the same force that grows trees and builds galaxies and turns single cells into human beings. That force doesn't compete, it creates. And when you operate the same way, you become unstoppable. Think about the people who've built real wealth, not the ones who got lucky in a market bubble, the ones who built empires that last. They didn't compete their way there, they created their way there. They saw a need and filled it. They imagined something better and brought it into existence. They didn't wait for permission or fight for position. They just built. And the substance responded. Now, this doesn't mean competition disappears. You'll still have competitors. But when you're operating from the creative mind, they're irrelevant, because you're not playing the same game. They're fighting over scraps. You're baking new loaves. They're trying to protect market share. You're creating new markets. They're looking at what is. You're building what could be. And the thinking substance doesn't reward the person who fights the hardest. It rewards the person who creates with the most clarity and faith. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you spending your days competing or creating? Are you looking at what everyone else is doing and trying to do it better, faster, cheaper? Or are you looking at what's missing and building it from scratch? Are you trying to win a game someone else designed? Or are you inventing a new game entirely? Because the competitive path will wear you down. It'll give you small wins and constant anxiety. It'll keep you busy, but never truly free. The creative path is different. It's harder at first because you're building something from nothing, but once it exists, once the substance locks onto your vision and starts moving, the momentum is unstoppable. You're not fighting the current anymore, you're riding it. And that's where freedom lives. Not in beating everyone else, in becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to. The fork is in front of you. One road leads to endless competition. The other leads to effortless creation. Choose carefully, because once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. And everything you build from here depends on which path you take.
Chapter 4. The law of increase, the expanding nature of the universe. The universe has a bias. It doesn't favor the strong or the lucky or the well-connected. It favors increase. Look around. Everything in nature is designed to grow. Trees don't stop at a certain height and call it good. Rivers don't flow halfway and decide that's enough. Cells divide. Species adapt. Galaxies expand. The default setting of reality is more, and you're part of that reality. This isn't philosophy. It's physics. It's biology. It's the fundamental operating system of existence. And if you learn to align with it, wealth stops being something you chase and starts being something that flows to you naturally. But here's the problem. Most people are working against increase without realizing it. They hoard, they protect, they try to hold on to what they have because they're terrified it's all they'll ever get. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from the very force that could bring them more. Increase doesn't work that way. The law of increase says that whatever you give multiplies, whatever you hold on to stagnates, whatever you move flows, whatever you freeze dies. Think about money sitting in a checking account. It doesn't grow, it doesn't increase, it just sits there, slowly losing value to inflation. But invest that same money in something productive, something that creates value, and it multiplies. The same is true of your energy, your time, your ideas. If you're holding back, waiting until you feel safe or certain or ready, you're blocking the flow. You're telling the universe you don't trust the process. And the universe responds with exactly what you expect. Nothing. But when you move, when you give, when you put something into circulation, the substance responds. It has to, because increase is the law. Now, this doesn't mean giving recklessly. It doesn't mean ignoring wisdom or strategy. It means understanding that value only multiplies when it's in motion. The people who build real wealth aren't the ones who clutch every dollar. They're the ones who invest, who reinvest, who give generously and trust that more is coming, because they understand the law. And here's the part that most people miss. The law of increase doesn't just apply to money. It applies to everything. Give value in your work, and opportunities increase. Give attention to your relationships, and connection deepens. Give energy to your health, and vitality expands. The universe is always asking the same question. Are you contributing to increase or resisting it? And it rewards accordingly. Think about a garden. If you plant a seed and water it, does the plant grow because you forced it? No. It grows because that's what living things do. You just created the conditions. Wealth works the same way. You don't create increase, you align with it. You remove the barriers. You stop doing the things that block flow and start doing the things that encourage it. And the biggest barrier most people have is the belief that increase is limited. They think there's only so much to go around, that if someone else gets more, there's less for them, that the pie is fixed and the only way to get a bigger slice is to take it from someone else. But that's competitive thinking, and we already know where that leads. The creative mind knows that the pie isn't fixed, it's expanding. Every day, every moment, new wealth is being created, new value is being added, new opportunities are emerging. And the people who tap into that flow are the ones who win, not by taking, by adding. Every time you create something of value, you're contributing to the expansion of the universe. You're adding to the total amount of wealth that exists, and the substance responds by giving you a portion of what you helped create. That's the law. It's not karma, it's not wishful thinking, it's mechanics. You increase the total, and your share increases with it.
So stop thinking in terms of scarcity. Stop protecting what you have like it's the last drop of water in a desert. Stop hoarding your energy, your ideas, your time, your money. Start moving. Start giving. Start creating. And trust that the universe, which has been expanding since the beginning of time, isn't going to stop now. It's going to keep increasing. And if you're aligned with that increase, if you're contributing to it instead of resisting it, you'll be carried forward by a force so powerful that struggle becomes irrelevant. That's the promise of the law of increase. Not that you'll get everything you want by sitting still, but that when you move in harmony with the expanding nature of reality, you become part of the expansion itself. And there's no limit to how far that can take you.
Chapter 5. The Power of Definite Vision. The imagination that commands reality. Most people don't know what they want. They know what they don't want. They can list 100 things they'd like to avoid. But ask them to describe in vivid detail the life they're trying to build, and the words dry up. They talk in vague terms: more money, more freedom, more happiness. And the thinking substance has no idea what to do with that, because vagueness doesn't create. Clarity does. If you want the substance to respond, if you want reality to reorganize itself around your intention, you need a definite vision, not a wish, not a hope, a detailed, specific, unshakable image of exactly what you want. This is where most people fail before they even start. They think wanting something is enough. They think the universe should read between the lines and deliver what they meant, not what they said. But the substance doesn't guess, it builds. And it builds according to the blueprint you give it. If your vision is blurry, your results will be blurry. If your vision shifts every other week, your results will be chaotic. But if your vision is clear, consistent, and held with absolute certainty, the substance has no choice but to deliver. That's not faith, that's physics. Think about how anything gets built in the physical world: a house, a car, a phone. It starts with a design, a clear, detailed plan, every measurement, every material, every function mapped out in advance. No one builds a house by saying, "I want something nice, surprise me." They draw blueprints, they make decisions, they see the finished product in their mind long before the first nail is hammered. And your life works the same way. The vision you hold in your imagination is the blueprint the substance uses to construct your reality. And the more detailed that vision, the more precisely reality can match it. But here's what stops most people. They start with a clear vision and then let doubt eat it alive. They see what they want, they feel the excitement, and then they look at their current situation and think, "That's impossible. I don't have the money, I don't have the connections, I don't have the skills." And the vision dissolves. They trade the image of what they want for the image of what they currently have. And the substance, which only responds to what you're holding in your mind, stops building the future and starts reinforcing the present. Your job is to hold the vision no matter what. Not because reality doesn't matter, but because reality is always lagging behind thought. What you see around you right now is the result of what you were thinking weeks, months, maybe years ago. What you're thinking right now is building what comes next. So if you want something different, you have to see it first, in your mind, with absolute clarity. And you have to keep seeing it, even when nothing in your current circumstances supports it. That's not delusion, that's creation. Because the moment you lock on to a definite vision and refuse to let go, the thinking substance begins to move. It starts pulling resources toward you. It starts arranging circumstances. It starts connecting dots you didn't even know existed. And things begin to happen that look like luck. But it's not luck, it's response.
The substance is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's taking the image you're holding and finding the shortest path to make it real. Your job isn't to figure out how. Your job is to stay locked on what. The how is the substance's job, and it's better at it than you are. Now, this doesn't mean you sit around daydreaming and wait for the universe to drop $1 million in your lap. Vision without action is fantasy, but action without vision is just noise. You need both. A clear, definite vision gives your actions direction. It tells you what to say yes to and what to ignore. It keeps you from getting distracted by every shiny opportunity that doesn't actually move you toward what you want. And when your actions are aligned with your vision, when every choice you make is in service of the image you're holding, momentum builds fast. Here's the test. Can you describe right now, in specific detail, what your life looks like 1 year from now? Not in vague terms, not "I want to be successful." Where are you living? What does your day look like? Who are you working with? How much are you earning? What are you creating? If you can't answer those questions clearly, you don't have a vision, you have a wish. And wishes don't command reality. Visions do. So take the time to build the image, see it, feel it, make it so real in your mind that your current circumstances start to feel like the dream and the vision starts to feel like the truth. Because the substance doesn't care which one is real. It just builds whatever you focus on most. And the moment your vision becomes more vivid than your doubt, everything changes. The doors open, the people appear, the path clears. Not because you forced it, because you finally gave the substance a blueprint worth building. That's the power of definite vision, and it's available to you right now. The only question is whether you're willing to see it clearly enough to make it real.
Chapter 6. Faith, the substance of things desired. Faith gets misunderstood. People think it's blind optimism, a warm feeling, a belief you cling to when you don't have evidence. But real faith isn't hoping something will happen, it's knowing it already has. In the unseen, in the realm of the thinking substance, in the space where all things exist before they take physical form. This is the part most people can't wrap their heads around. They need proof before they believe. They need to see it, touch it, measure it. And because they're waiting for the physical world to change first, it never does. Because faith doesn't follow evidence. Faith creates it. The substance responds to your mental state, and if your mental state is doubt, hesitation, or "I'll believe it when I see it," the substance receives that as an instruction to keep things exactly as they are. But when you operate from faith, from the deep internal knowing that what you desire is already done, the substance has no choice but to deliver. Not someday, not eventually, now. In the only way it can, by rearranging physical reality to match the certainty you're holding in your mind. Here's the shift. Most people think faith is what you do while you're waiting for results. But faith isn't passive. Faith is the result. It's the substance of things desired. Meaning it's not separate from the thing you want. It's the invisible form of it, the energetic blueprint, the frequency that calls it into being. When you have true faith, you don't hope your vision will manifest. You know it's already done. You're just waiting for the physical world to catch up. And that knowing changes everything. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you make decisions, because you're not operating from lack anymore. You're operating from certainty. Think about someone who just got hired for their dream job. They haven't started yet. They haven't received a paycheck. But do they act broke? No, they act like someone whose life just changed. That's faith in action. They're living from the end result before the end result is visible. And because they're holding that frequency, the substance continues to build in that direction. But the moment they start doubting, the moment they look at their bank account and panic, the signal changes and the substance stalls.
This is why most people never break through. They start strong, they set the vision, they feel the excitement, and then they check their email, see nothing new, and decide it's not working. They abandon faith the second the physical world doesn't immediately reflect it. And in doing so, they stop the very process that was about to deliver. Faith requires you to hold the frequency even when nothing seems to be happening, especially when nothing seems to be happening. Because in the invisible realm, everything is happening. The substance is moving, resources are aligning, people are being drawn into position, circumstances are shifting in ways you can't see yet. But if you drop the faith, if you let fear or impatience override your knowing, you cut the connection, and the thing that was on its way to you stops mid-flight. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending bills aren't due or responsibilities don't exist. Faith isn't delusion. Faith is the decision to operate from the truth of what's being created rather than the appearance of what currently is. It's choosing to act like the person who already has what you're building, not recklessly, not foolishly, but with the calm, grounded certainty of someone who knows how this ends. And here's what happens when you do that. The doubt loses its grip, the fear fades, the desperation that pushes people into bad decisions, into shortcuts and compromises, disappears. Because you're not trying to force anything, you're not scrambling, you're not chasing, you're just walking the path that's already been laid out, trusting that every step is leading exactly where it needs to go. And the substance, which has been waiting for you to stop interfering, finally gets to work. Opportunities appear, doors open, the right people show up at the right time, things fall into place in ways you couldn't have engineered if you tried. Not because you got lucky, because you held the faith long enough for the substance to complete the process. That's the difference between people who break through and people who burn out. The ones who break through don't have more talent, they don't have better circumstances, they just have unshakable faith that what they're building is already done, and they refuse to let the lag between thought and form shake them. So here's the practice. Every time doubt creeps in, every time you're tempted to check the scoreboard and panic, remind yourself of this truth. The substance is always working, always responding, always building. And the only thing that can stop it is you abandoning the vision before it's complete. Hold the faith, not as a feeling, as a fact. What you desire already exists in the realm of thought. Your job is to stay aligned with that truth until the physical world has no choice but to reflect it. That's faith, that's power, and that's how reality bends.
Chapter 7. Gratitude, the magnetic key to sustained supply. There's a frequency that multiplies everything you touch. It's not hustle. It's not strategy. It's not even faith, though it works hand in hand with it. It's gratitude. And most people completely misunderstand what it is. They think gratitude is something you feel after you get what you want, a polite thank you to the universe once the check clears or the deal closes. But real gratitude doesn't wait for results. Real gratitude is the tool that creates them. Because gratitude is how you stay connected to the thinking substance. It's how you keep the flow open. It's the signal that tells the universe you're ready to receive more. Here's why. When you're grateful, you're operating from a state of abundance. You're acknowledging that you already have enough, that you're already supported, that life is already working in your favor. And the substance responds to that energy by delivering more of what you're celebrating. But when you're focused on lack, when you're frustrated by what you don't have or resentful of how long it's taking, you're sending a completely different signal. You're telling the universe, I'm not satisfied, I don't have enough, something's missing. And the substance, which always mirrors your dominant frequency, gives you more situations that reinforce that feeling. More lack, more frustration, more waiting. Gratitude breaks the cycle.
It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here, and in doing so, it aligns you with the law of increase. Because you can't be grateful and scarce at the same time. You can't hold appreciation and desperation in the same breath. Gratitude is the antidote to fear, and fear is the only thing that blocks supply. Think about the last time you received something you truly wanted. Maybe it was a promotion. Maybe it was a breakthrough. Maybe it was just a moment where everything clicked. What did you feel in that moment? Relief, joy, appreciation, a sense that life was finally moving in your direction. That's the frequency you need to live in, not just when good things happen, all the time. Because when you hold that frequency consistently, the substance doesn't just deliver once, it delivers again and again and again. Gratitude becomes a magnet. It pulls opportunities toward you. It attracts people who want to help. It opens doors you didn't even know existed. Not because you're manipulating the universe, because you're finally in harmony with it. Now, here's the part that trips people up. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It doesn't mean ignoring problems or slapping a smile on your face when things are falling apart. It means choosing to focus on what's working instead of what isn't. And there's always something working. You woke up today. You have access to information that people 100 years ago would have called magic. You have opportunities your ancestors couldn't have dreamed of. That's not small. That's massive. And when you acknowledge it, when you truly feel appreciation for what you already have, you're telling the substance, I'm ready for more. And it delivers. But if you're constantly complaining, constantly focused on what's broken, the substance hears that too, and it gives you more to complain about. Not as punishment, as response. This is why some people seem to have everything go their way, while others can't catch a break. It's not luck, it's frequency. The ones who flow with ease are the ones who've learned to live in gratitude, and the ones who struggle are the ones who've trained themselves to focus on lack. It's that simple and that powerful. So here's the practice. Every single day, before you do anything else, find 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. Not the same 3 things every day. New things, specific things, things you actually feel appreciation for, not just things you're supposed to be thankful for. Maybe it's the fact that you slept well. Maybe it's a conversation that shifted your perspective. Maybe it's just the quiet before the day starts. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you feel it. Because gratitude isn't a mental exercise, it's an energetic one. And if you're just going through the motions, the substance knows. But when you truly feel it, when appreciation floods your chest and your whole body relaxes into the truth that you're supported, the signal changes, and the substance responds. More flow, more opportunity, more synchronicity. Not someday, immediately. Because gratitude doesn't ask for more, it acknowledges what's already being given. And in that acknowledgement, it creates space for even greater abundance to arrive. That's the key. That's the secret most people miss. They're so focused on what they don't have that they completely overlook what's already here. And in doing so, they block the very thing they're asking for. But you don't have to make that mistake. You can choose right now to shift your focus, to see the abundance that's already present, to appreciate the progress, however small, to thank the substance for what it's already delivered. And the moment you do, the moment gratitude becomes your default frequency, everything changes. Not because you lowered your standards, because you raised your vibration. And the universe always matches your frequency. Always.
Chapter 8. Acting in a Certain Way. How to Move Like the Infinite. You can have the perfect vision, unshakable faith, deep gratitude, and still get nowhere. Because at some point you have to move. Not randomly, not desperately,
not in the chaotic, reactive way most people mistake for productivity. You have to act in a certain way, and that way is everything. Because the substance doesn't just respond to what you think or feel, it responds to what you do, to how you move through the world, to whether your actions match the frequency of what you're calling in. Most people sabotage themselves here without realizing it. They hold a vision of wealth and then act like someone who's broke. They talk about abundance and then make decisions from fear. They say they believe in the process and then scramble the second things don't go according to plan. And the substance gets confused because your actions are telling a different story than your thoughts. So it does nothing, or worse, it reinforces the action instead of the vision. Here's the truth. You have to act like the person who already has what you want. Not fake it, not pretend, embody it. If you want financial freedom, you can't move through life like someone who's one bill away from disaster. You can't check your bank account obsessively. You can't hoard every dollar out of fear it's the last one. Because that's not how someone with financial freedom moves. And the substance responds to how you move, not what you say. This is where most people break. They understand the vision part, they get the faith part, but when it comes time to act, they revert to old patterns. They let fear override knowing. They make decisions based on what is instead of what's being created, and the momentum dies. Acting in a certain way means making every decision as if the thing you want is already done. Not recklessly, not irresponsibly, but with the calm, grounded confidence of someone who knows how this ends. Think about it. Someone who knows they're about to close a major deal doesn't panic about small expenses. Someone who knows their income is about to multiply doesn't cling to pennies. Someone who knows they're on the right path doesn't second-guess every move. They act from certainty, and certainty creates reality. Now, this doesn't mean spending money you don't have. It doesn't mean ignoring bills or making stupid decisions. It means operating from abundance instead of scarcity, even when your current circumstances don't reflect it yet. It means saying yes to opportunities that align with your vision, even if they feel risky. It means investing in yourself, your skills, your business, your future, even when the immediate return isn't guaranteed. Because the substance rewards people who move like they trust the process, and it ignores people who act like they're waiting for permission. Here's the difference. Someone acting from scarcity waits until they feel safe, until they have enough saved, until the conditions are perfect. And because perfect never comes, they never move. Someone acting in a certain way moves now, not because they're careless, because they understand that the substance doesn't respond to readiness, it responds to commitment. And commitment is demonstrated through action. Every single day, you're either reinforcing the life you have or building the life you want. There's no neutral. Every choice, every conversation, every dollar spent, every hour invested, it's all a signal, and the substance is always listening. So ask yourself, are your actions aligned with your vision, or are they aligned with your fear? Are you moving like someone who trusts the process, or like someone who's bracing for disaster? Are you building or protecting? Because you can't do both. Protection is what you do when you think there's not enough. Building is what you do when you know more is always coming. And the substance only builds with people who are building. Here's the practice. Before you make any decision, big or small, ask yourself one question. Is this what the person I'm becoming would do? Not the person you are right now, the person you're becoming, the version of you who already has the life you're building. Would they take this job? Would they say yes to this opportunity?
Would they spend their time this way? If the answer is no, don't do it. Even if it feels safe, even if it's what everyone else is doing, even if it makes logical sense. Because logic based on scarcity will always lead you back to scarcity. But acting from vision, from faith, from alignment with the substance will carry you forward faster than any strategy ever could. This is how you move like the infinite. Not by waiting for the perfect moment, by being the person who creates perfect moments. Not by playing it safe, by playing it aligned. Not by reacting to circumstances, by acting in harmony with the reality you're building. And when you do that, when your actions finally match your vision, the substance doesn't just respond, it accelerates. Doors fly open, people appear, resources materialize, things happen so fast it feels like the universe is sprinting to catch up. And in a way, it is, because you finally stopped blocking it. You finally started moving the way it needed you to move. And now, there's nothing left but to watch it unfold.
Chapter 9. Mental Alchemy. Turning every circumstance into opportunity. Life will test you, not to punish you, not because the universe is cruel, but because growth requires pressure. And the moment you commit to a vision, the moment you step into alignment with the thinking substance, everything that doesn't match that vision will rise to the surface. Old habits, old fears, old patterns you thought you'd left behind. They'll show up, loud and clear, demanding your attention. And this is where most people quit. They interpret resistance as a sign they're on the wrong path. They see obstacles and think the universe is telling them no. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is the substance is clearing the way. It's bringing everything to the surface that's blocking your flow so you can release it. And if you know how to work with it, every obstacle becomes fuel. This is mental alchemy, the ability to turn every circumstance, no matter how difficult, into an opportunity for increase. Most people react to challenges with frustration, with doubt, with the question, why is this happening to me? But the person who understands mental alchemy asks a different question. What is this teaching me? How is this preparing me? What opportunity is hidden inside this moment? Because there's always an opportunity, always a lesson, always a way forward. But you'll only see it if you're looking for it. The substance doesn't waste anything. Every setback contains the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Every failure is feedback. Every rejection is redirection. And the people who win aren't the ones who avoid problems. They're the ones who've learned to extract value from every single one. Think about the last time something went wrong. A deal fell through, a plan collapsed, a person let you down. What did you do? If you spiraled, if you let it derail you, if you took it as proof that nothing works, then you missed the gift. But if you looked at it and asked, what's the opportunity here? You probably found one. Maybe it freed up time for something better. Maybe it revealed a flaw in your strategy. Maybe it showed you who to trust and who to distance yourself from. Every obstacle is information, and information is power, but only if you're willing to see it that way. Most people get stuck because they refuse to let go of how they thought things were supposed to happen. They had a plan, the plan didn't work, and instead of adapting, they dig in harder, trying to force a dead path back to life. That's not alchemy. That's stubbornness. Mental alchemy requires flexibility. It requires you to hold your vision firmly and your methods loosely, because the destination is non-negotiable, but the route, that's always changing. The substance knows 1,000 ways to get you where you're going, and sometimes the fastest path looks nothing like you expected. So when something doesn't work out, instead of fighting it, ask yourself what the substance is trying to show you. Maybe it's steering you toward a better option. Maybe it's teaching you a skill you'll need later. Maybe it's protecting you from something you can't see yet. Trust the redirection, because the substance isn't working against you, it's working for you, always. And the moment you start interpreting challenges as part of the process instead of proof of failure, everything shifts. You stop resisting, you stop panicking, you stop letting circumstances control your state, and you start moving with the flow instead of against it. Here's the practice. Every time something goes wrong, give yourself 60 seconds to feel whatever you need to feel, frustration, disappointment, anger, whatever. And then ask this question: how is this actually perfect? Not in a toxic positivity way, not pretending it doesn't hurt, but genuinely looking for the hidden benefit. What is this moment clearing out of your life? What is it teaching you? Where is it redirecting you? There's always an answer, and the faster you find it, the faster you turn the obstacle into leverage. This is how you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a creator of opportunity. Because circumstances don't have inherent meaning, you give them meaning, and the meaning you assign determines whether they destroy you or build you up. Mental alchemy is the decision to assign empowering meaning every single time, not because you're in denial, because you understand that the substance is always moving in your favor, even when it doesn't look like it. And the people who master this, who learn to turn every setback into a setup, become unstoppable. Not because they don't face challenges, because challenges don't slow them down. They just extract the lesson, adjust the strategy, and keep moving. And the substance rewards that resilience, that flexibility, that refusal to be derailed by anything. It accelerates their path. It shortens the timeline. It delivers results faster than people who spend half their energy resisting what is. So stop fighting reality. Start mining it. Every obstacle is an opportunity. Every delay is preparation. Every disappointment is redirection. And when you see it that way, when you truly internalize that truth, nothing can stop you. Because you're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You're the alchemist, turning everything into gold.
Chapter 10. The effortless stream of supply, when the universe works through you. There comes a moment when it clicks. Not in your head, deeper than that, in your bones, in the way you move through the world. You stop forcing, stop chasing, stop trying to muscle your way into results, and you start flowing. This is the final shift, the one that separates people who spend their whole lives grinding from people who build empires while everyone else is still figuring out the first step. It's the moment you realize you're not doing this alone. The thinking substance isn't something you have to convince or manipulate or beg. It's always been working with you, always responding, always ready to deliver. The only thing that was ever in the way was you. Your doubt, your fear, your need to control every detail, your refusal to trust the process. But when you finally let go, when you align your thoughts, your faith, your gratitude, your actions, everything changes. Supply stops being something you chase. It becomes something that flows to you, effortlessly. Not because you stopped working, because you stopped working against yourself. You're no longer broadcasting mixed signals. You're no longer holding a vision with one hand and sabotaging it with the other. You're clear. You're aligned. You're in harmony with the expanding force of the universe itself. And when that happens, when you become a clean channel for the substance to move through, there's no limit to what can come. Think about a river. It doesn't struggle to reach the ocean. It doesn't fight. It doesn't question. It just flows. And in flowing, it carves canyons. It nourishes everything in its path. It moves with a force that nothing can stop. You're the same. When you stop resisting, when you stop trying to control the current, you become unstoppable. Not through force, through alignment. The opportunities come faster. The right people appear at the exact right time. The resources you need show up before you even ask. And it stops feeling like work. It starts feeling like inevitability. Because you're no longer pushing, you're being pulled by the same force that grows trees and spins galaxies and turns single cells into living, breathing human beings. That force is working through you now. And it doesn't struggle. It doesn't doubt. It doesn't hesitate. It just creates. Here's what changes when you reach this state. You stop worrying about competition because you're not competing anymore. You're creating. You stop worrying about timing because you trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You stop worrying about worthiness because you finally understand that the substance doesn't judge, it just responds. And you're giving it the clearest signal you've ever sent. This is the effortless stream of supply. It's not passive. You're still taking action, still making decisions, still building. But it feels different, lighter, like you're being carried instead of dragging yourself forward. And the results reflect that. Things happen faster than they used to. Deals close easier. People say yes more often. Obstacles that used to derail you for weeks dissolve in days. Not because you got luckier, because you finally stopped blocking the flow. You're in the current now, and the current moves fast. This is what's possible when you master the principles we've covered. The thinking substance, the creative mind, the law of increase, definite vision, faith, gratitude, aligned action, mental alchemy. Each one is a piece, and when you put them all together, when you live by them consistently, you don't just change your results, you change your reality. You become the kind of person wealth flows to, the kind of person opportunities seek out, the kind of person the universe works through instead of around. And once you're there, once you're in that flow, there's no going back. Because you've tasted what it feels like to move with the current instead of against it. And nothing else will ever feel the same. So here's the final truth. You don't have to fight for wealth. You don't have to suffer for success. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You just have to align with the substance, with the laws, with the expanding nature of reality itself. And when you do, when you finally step into the flow and let it carry you, the stream of supply never stops. It just keeps coming, faster, stronger, more abundant than you ever imagined. Not someday, not when you're ready, not when the conditions are perfect. Now. The substance is here. It's waiting, and it's ready to move through you the moment you stop resisting and start allowing. So let go, trust the process, and step into the current. Because the effortless stream of supply isn't something you have to earn. It's something you've always had access to. You just had to remember how to flow. And now you do.